Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's all right. So, do you want me to start the presentation all over again?
No, that's
just
fine.
kidding.
But can you
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
can you increase your font size a little bit bigger?
Yeah, let's see the terminal. Okay, let me go ahead and show. I'm going to show the. So here we go. So how's the font size for the code? Is that fine, or is that also needs improvement?
Is that bigger? We're asking for a little bit bigger.
Okay, so bigger for both.
Bigger for both, probably.
Okay, so I'm going to do 28 for both. Let's see how that looks. How's that?
Is that better, Sherry?
I can do
the
bigger.
left-hand side is tiny. Can you do it like a command plus on the left-hand side and make this bigger?
Oh, you mean the project settings?
Yeah.
That's actually a good question. I'm not sure if I can do that.
Well, can you just like click? Can you do a control plus in there and or a command plus, and does that increase it? If you do command plus there.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, now you made everything bigger. So now you can make your
font size a little smaller.
You can make your code smaller now.
All right, so let's do 24, and I guess 28 is fine.
Can we start a notepad on what commands we give?
Oh, on Notepad? Yeah, I guess you can start on Notepad, but you do lose a little bit of. I mean, yeah, you can start on Notepad. You really can start if you have the command line. You can start on the terminal and just have it and just run the command line, and it's going to create a folder structure of the application. And then what you could do is what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and say you have to go into the demo app directory, and you could just say serve, I think serve, and then -- open, and so you'll be able to see the project itself, and it's really a shell of a Angular project that Angular gives. So we can, but you could, but yes, in short answer is yes, you could do it in Notepad as well. But I would say that Visual Studio Code is free, so you don't. I mean,
well, actually, and I thought this was what he was asking. He just wants to like a list of all the commands that you're giving during.
Oh yeah, I can. Oh, and I just want to see if I can get the chat going. I can't. For some reason, I lost it.
You can't find your chat. I was gonna say I can type them into the chat if you want.
Okay,
I'll do that. I'll type them into the chat.
Yeah.
No, Sherry, you didn't miss anything. I assume, Juan, you'll be providing your presentation after the fact.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can do that.
And I'll I'll paste the commands in the window.
Yeah, I can do that. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't see the chat, so I'm not able to. But all right, let's just move on. I think the first command being the ng-new, and then the name of the project, and then the second one is just the ng-serve -- open. So once you have your application, once you have this shell application that Angular provides, you can see this is pretty good. It's a pretty good start, right? They give you so much of already what to work with, and we can take a look at going back to components, and we can take a look at what a component is, what it consists of, and we can take right here. This would generally be the root component to the application, and we can click here. This is kind of annoying. Let me move this aside.
When you go back to the browser, increase the font size in the browser as well, please. Sorry.
So increase the font size of the browser. Oh, in the browser?
When you go back, that part.
Okay, let me go ahead and control ++. I think that's good, no?
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, this is a little bit of what we saw earlier. I mean, we saw a component and what it consists of, and we take a look at this object, and it's really the metadata, and it's used for Angular's purposes. And you can see that this is the root component with pointing to the HTML. We can take a look at the HTML and see what that consists of. Well, that consists of generated code that's already there for you on the start. And we can take a quick look to see what I'll do is we can just, well, maybe, let me see.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, so I was just gonna ask, I know this is not a Node, but you would install the ng package through Node or Yarn?
Yeah, through a Node.js.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Yeah, because I think some of the prerequisites for running this is on Node.js, and also the npm package manager as well. So if you got those two down on your computer, I think to a relevant version close to the latest, you're able to then download or also install Angular and Angular command lines, and you can run these commands that I ran earlier.
James actually provided the command in the chat there.
Oh, okay. And yeah, the one that I ran into was npm install, global at Angular CLI, or do we do at Angular core?
Sorry, say that again.
So the to install, it says npm install -global at Angular / CLI, or I see on your import it says import component from. Would we instead of installing Angular CLI, would we install Angular /core?
Yeah. So I think the global means your entire environment on the computer, but I think but this is different. This is going to be internally. So but I think we're talking about two different things. One thing is that you're installing the Angular core and the Angular CLI. Another thing is that this is just coming from Angular, what I've installed basically. Are you trying to install it now, the Angular and Angular CLI?
Yeah, so I can follow along,
Right. So definitely, okay, so when you want to install Angular, just install it globally, so it's not just on that local directory. If well, in case you want to use it outside of that directory, then globally makes sense. Yeah.
The command that I'm getting is at Angular CLI, and what I'm seeing here is import component from at Angular core.
Oh, so, okay. Is it okay if you share your screen? We can take a look at that. Let's see what that looks.
But yeah, hold on.
Or if anything, we can always meet up and we can kind of tackle that.
Yeah. I was just curious on which package was correct, because I'm getting one on the internet saying at angular.cli and then or /CLI, and then I'm seeing your code and it's saying at Angular core.
Yeah. So when it comes to components, yeah, it's going to be at Angular core. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it's going to be imported. And again, remember, this is all pretty much generated by the command line. I have not even touched the code yet. So a lot of this is just being generated. And so you saw that when I ran the command ng serve open, well, that went ahead and that just built the application. Everything that was provided to me is getting built. You're going to start the server. It's going to watch for these files to see if there are any changes, and if there are any changes, it's going to rebuild that application, and it's going to upload again to the website. So a quick example here is just getting started with. We can change the title of this name, and you're going to see that before it's called demo app, and then app is running, and so we can go ahead and just change this to getting started with components. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. And so you're going to see that it's going to build. And then once it builds successfully, you're going to see that it's going to be reflected again on the website. And it's getting started with components. App is running. So let's go back into our component. So that's our root component, right? That's what we're working with. But let's go ahead and I'm going to create another component, and there's another command line for this. So let's go ahead and before I start, I do want to just let's see. I did have a little bit of a okay. And so basically what we have here is okay. So we have the root component. All right, let me go ahead and I'm going to change the so a lot of this is pre-built, so I'm just going to remove a lot of this information. I'm just going to have it just display one little thing so it doesn't confuse too much. And I'm going to give it the title name. Okay. And so here's what I'm doing. I just removed the framework. I removed everything that we have that Angular has provided. Every, the nav bar, all of that is removed because I just want to simplify it and I just want to show what we're going to do. And so removing that, I'm just having a header 1 and I'm doing the double curly braces, which in Angular is called interpolation. And what that really does is that is matching, that is looking for this key, this key called title, and is looking for it in the component. So remember, this is the component, and this is going to be the view of that component, right? So it needs to reflect. So this title needs to be here in order to pass this information along and reflect it to our view. And this view needs to be there. And that key title needs to be in the component. So if I go ahead and I just save, if I go ahead and I save this, okay, so we see that it compiles successfully. If we take a look, now we get the getting started with components. Everything has been removed. The whole framework, the whole building has been removed. And now we just have the title, getting started with components. Okay, and what we call that a one-way binding, one-way data binding, because it's coming from one direction where the component is telling the view, hey, display this object. Okay. We can also, so now that's kind of the template URL, right? That's the connection right there where the template URL is being notified. Now for the styles URL, we can also change the styles. And remember, this is a file path. So it's called app-component.css. Great. So we can find it here, app-component.css. I have some styles here that I've already copied. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to save it. And so remember, CSS, again, is that styling, is the way the color looks, it's the way, basically the design, right, of our website. And so now we've got our business logic or data that provides it to our framework here. And we've got our styles that mentions, hey, anything that has a header 1, we're going to style it with this color, this font family, and this font size. And we've already saved it. And so it should be built and compiled. And if we take a look, you already see that the color has changed. The color is now different. You see the styling is being applied, and you see the changes automatically. So that's actually kind of neat to have. Okay, so now let me go ahead and close this. I'm gonna create another component, and so the command line for that is going to be also ng. You could write generate component, but there's a shortcut that they just tell you to put G, C, and then the name of the component. In this case, I'm going to call it child dash component. And so now it's just going to generate another component, and it's going to take some time. Oh, sorry. Let me go ahead and change this to demo app. And then let's go and run it again. If I can increase this. Nice. So it created 4 files. You'll see here that it has 4 files that have been created. And then we have one that has been updated. Okay, is the app module.ts. Okay. So now we've created, so running this ng C component, we gave it the name, we called it child component. And if we look at that directory, you'll see that the 4 files have been created. Those 4 files are, again, the CSS styling, right? The HTML. This spec is the testing for that component, any logic that you want to test to make sure it's working properly or behaves the way you expect it. And this is the component. I'm gonna see if I can bring this down. And it's, again, very similar to what we should be accustomed to, right? What we have, again, one of them is the component metadata. We have got the template view, and we've got the styles URL, and over here is where we will do our logic. I wouldn't worry right now about the constructor or ng on it. Those are good features to know about. But if you guys want to talk about it further, let me know, and we can talk about it after the presentation. But for so far, any questions? Anybody has any questions that they want to mention or?
We had one about which one was a view, which file was a view, but I already answered that,
Okay.
Sherry.
Oh, okay.
I think we're good.
All right. Okay. Cool. And then let's go ahead and, okay, so now we've created this child component, right? And we created it with the ngc child component. And we can tell that, okay, so now what I want to do is I want to add a name to this. I want to add a property to this. And I kind of want to show how this reflects, or you know what, let's wait off on the property. What I want to do is, how do I, if there's anybody, let me know if anybody could answer this in the chat or raise your hand. But you know, how would I, so this is a child component to this group, but how would I include it in the HTML? How can I tell Angular, hey, Angular, I want to add that child component to here. I want to reflect this HTML. Where is it? I want to reflect this this child component works paragraph inside the view, inside here. Any takers? No?
Well, I know the answer, but I'm not gonna.
No, absolutely.
I'm not gonna answer it.
No, yeah. Okay. So remember again, so what tells Angular how a component should behave or how to use it? It's going to be in the metadata. And so if you take a look at the child component, let's go ahead and go to the HTML. Sorry, in TypeScript. And what tells Angular what this component is called and how you should use it is going to be here in this app child component. And so that's actually a good, this is basically the name of that component. And so anytime it's found in an HTML of another component, it's going to reflect to this, and it's going to reflect to this view, which is the child view component, which is going to show this right here. So if I go ahead and I go into the component class, I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And then if I go to the root component, which right now is displaying just this title, right? Okay, cool. It's showing the title. Nice. All right. So now if I just go ahead and I say, hey, let's add this child component view as well. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Hopefully I can see that it's going to show that child component works as well. So that's, you know, that's where you start to see that what we talked a little earlier about, that hierarchy of components. And I'm gonna just, maybe another visual example could work. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe that's too. Let's see if I can zoom in there. And so again, remember that app root component that we were looking at. That app root component being these files right here, and being this TS TypeScript file. Well, that is the root component, and we're showing, again, let's see if I can find it, the HTML here, the title. And so that's what that is showing you, right? And then inside that root component, there's a child component that also has some information that is showing you, and it's showing you the child component works, HTML template. And so that's kind of the senses of components, and probably the part where I kind of wanted to end it here, and possibly, you know, for next meetings and so forth, maybe segue into property binding and event binding in two ways and communication wise. But I don't know if anybody wants to go over anything, or if they have any further questions that they would like to discuss.
Do we have any questions for Juan? Will you expand the left-hand sidebar so we can see the file extensions?
Oh, for sure. Let me Control plus.
But, and also, yeah, yep, there we go.
That's better?
Yep.
Okay. And so, yeah, if you didn't see it, I mean, this was the root component, and basically this was the TypeScript component that held the logic. And really the only logic that we had was just to provide this information of getting started with components. And because this component is sort of a controller of how the view should look like and behave, our view is this HTML. And this HTML is looking for a key called title, and that's provided by our TypeScript over here. If I change this, it's going to break because it's not going to be able to find it. And being that it's a root component or a parent component, it has a child component that's over here. And I don't know why Visual Studio Code doesn't really take you to it. Maybe I need an extension or so forth, but because you're labeling it here, you're labeling it app child component. Well, that is going to be this child component. And the way Angular knows about it is because it has this metadata. One of the three main things that I wanted to talk about, what a component consists of, was this app child component. And so that's how that is also reflected. And that's kind of the chain, right? The tree structure that we talked about earlier.
Syntax wise, how do you know that app is the root component?
Syntax wise, I mean, I think the first thing is there's definitely, so from my experience, I know that for me, anything that has basically, so here you'll see that the selector has this app root component. And maybe I should probably go a little further back, because I know that there's also this thing called modules, which kind of encapsulates many components. And so let's see if maybe I can go in here. Okay, and so I don't know if it's here, the Bootstrap app component. I'm not sure exactly how it would start off. Maybe if someone else might know, that it will tell you the root component, exactly where it starts off. Great question, but I don't know exactly where it can start off. I just know that we have the app root right now so far, but I think maybe, let me see if I can find it in the index HTML. Let's see. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so here it is. Here it is. So here in the index HTML, this is pretty much where everything kind of starts. This is what being reflected. And as you can see, this is actually being used right here, this app root component. And that's pretty much where everything sort of starts. And so this app root component, again, is being pointed, is telling Angular, hey, if you see this app root component, you're going to use this component, this right here. And so that's how you would go by the index.html and see it, see the app root.
Yeah, Sherry, the top parent element is always called app.component in Angular. Any other questions? Okay, that was awesome. That was a great start to writing an Angular app, Juan. I thank you.
Thanks.
Where do you go for documentation?
Oh, I start off with Angular IO. I think Angular IO is a good one. Stack Overflow always does a good one as well. Well, I guess it just depends. Also, it just depends on what you're using. But yeah, I would start off with the documentation from Angular. Yeah. Yeah.
They also have a great tutorial on the Angular IO website. It's good to walk through. I don't know, Jesus, would you like to add Angular routes?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't, sorry about that. I would have to prepare for that one.
Yeah.
Wanted to talk about that, yeah.
So that actually brings us to a really good question. I was talking to Juan, for everyone here. I see a lot of new names. I see some old names, and welcome to everyone. But I was explaining to Juan earlier that those of you who have come to the events before have probably noticed that Michi's missing, and Michi has stepped down from hosting these events with me, and I am struggling to do this moving forward. But so I guess my first question to everyone here, and you can unmute if you want, or you can just type in the chat, is what would you like to see from San Diego Angular Meetup moving forward? Would you like to see more of what Juan's doing here and continue stepping through stuff like this, like the basic building blocks for Angular? Do you care?
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, that's one of my goals. I definitely want to talk a little bit more about it. And I wanted to start from the basics, just for me, my comfort level, and then of course build on what we're working on. So yeah, if you guys want to continue, I can definitely do that, but it's up to you guys.
I could manage doing this with Juan every month if he's willing to do it, but I don't want him to feel obligated to. But if he's willing to, I am willing to continue hosting Angular monthly meetups that have this. And Jesus says both Sherry and Jesus have liked this. So does anybody else have any questions for Juan about this? Any questions for me about the Angular meetup moving forward? Is there another Women Who Code event going on right now? Not that I know of. I'm looking at the calendar right now and there's nothing else but this event. We've never. Oh, San Francisco. Oh, I'm sorry, Sherry. I can commit to not conflicting with any Women Who Code San Diego events, but for me to try to coordinate with all of Women Who Code would be a little too much. So I understand that would be a fun event to go to. Do they have that on a monthly thing, or was this just a one-time thing? I don't know. Oh, theirs is regular. Yeah, this has been scheduled. I've been running the San Diego Angular meetups on the third Wednesday for years now. And so I'm afraid it'd be a little hard to change that now, because that's what Women Who Code San Diego is used to. But thanks for bringing that up. So there are other questions going on. I see a lot of questions in chat that Juan's had. Let's see.
I think Jose was having, Jesus was having some trouble.
Yes, Jesus is having some troubles. Richard was asking, how would you compare Angular framework versus React framework or others? I can't decide which framework to stick to. I don't think you have to stick to anyone personally, Richard. I think you can. I will say that React is probably the more popular framework, but there are still a lot of businesses that use Angular, and I personally like Angular myself. It makes more sense to my brain coming from a HTML, CSS hand coding background. It was easier for me to write Angular to fit into HTML and CSS, but I know there are people out there who absolutely love React. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Juan?
Yeah, I think when I first started, I was looking into React, but I think ultimately, if you get the basics down, you get the fundamentals down, some of the skills that you learn in Angular are going to be transferable to React, and they're not going to be that far off. Maybe differences might be the naming of the library, but you'll recognize, hey, this library is called this one in Angular, and this is kind of the way it's the same way of using it. But I would say, yeah, just stick to one that you like, or maybe you like a company that they're using that kind of software, then you might want to start using that. And so that way, when you do get closer to that company, you're familiar with their framework. So that's what I'd probably say if you had to choose one.
Yep. Any other questions for Juan? Okay, at this point, I would normally open it up to people who are either looking for jobs or looking to hire. So why don't we start off, is anybody here looking to hire engineers? Can unmute. I don't know about everyone else. My company just had a layoff, so we're not hiring.
So I would like to get some help on a project, and would welcome somebody whom I can team up with. It's a back-end kind of a project. I'm looking at Angular as some ancillary part to solve some of the problems. But yeah, happy to connect.
Okay. Could you put your contact information in the chat? And if somebody's willing to work with
Definitely.
Viraj.
Yep.
Sorry, all of a sudden I couldn't see, and I'm like, I can't see Viraj. Then you can contact him. Is anybody else looking to hire? If not, is anybody here looking for a job right now and want to talk about their skills and what they're looking for?
Hello.
Hey, Jesus.
Hi. So I'm currently looking for a job. I guess I've been doing this for a while, just using like content management systems, like I would say like WordPress or And then I learned that you could like start charging people like $20 to just set up WordPress. So just started getting me into it. But as of like 2 to 3 years back, I started taking it more seriously, and I started going through the freecodecamp.org things, and I've gotten 2 of their certificates so far. I'm about to receive the and so they show React on there, and so that's why I'm like more comfortable with React. And I just came from a vanilla JavaScript background, so it just came more naturally for me because of the course that I was taking. And before that, I was also taking several other courses in JavaScript, but I would say I have a really good understanding in JavaScript, but I was just not able to really pay attention because I was doing the update on my machine. Yeah. Right now, the resume website that I have up, I was trying to, I guess, have a better understanding on the CSS side of it. So like Flexbox. And I was working with like borders so that I can keep my borders, in place and be able to like do the overflow and stuff. So right now I'm working into like say using or implementing a Foundation JS template so that I'm able to just fill in the details, you would say, because how he was explaining, yeah, the HTML would be the structure or the looks of it, and I'm pretty good at it already, figuring out the functionality of of the JavaScript side. So on my site, I have, you know, 2 of my projects, which I made a Pomodoro clock and a JavaScript calculator without using the, I guess, I saw this and I'm mentioning it just because I thought, but I didn't use the eval method. So, and yeah, so I just
Cool.
pretty much without that.
Thanks, Jesus.
Yeah, good luck with the CSS. I struggle with that. I don't know. I can't. It's hard for me to do that CSS stuff. It's so I don't know. I guess for me, I try to stay away from the CSS side of things and try to stay more on the logic in the back end. So, but good luck with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey there, I just thought I would drop in and say hi. I'm the complete opposite actually, because I've come from freelancing websites for small and medium-sized businesses, building WordPress sites for them. And so my big thing is CSS. Like that's what I'm best at and absolutely love it. Building from scratch, you know, building themes and whatever these small businesses need. But more recently, I've been pushing into trying to build React applications and kind of stretching out into that. So yeah, it's good to learn about Angular a little bit, and looking forward to playing around with it some more. And yeah, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, James. Would you be interested in doing any kind of meetup talk on CSS?
I maybe yeah, I'll email you and then we
Okay.
can talk about it. Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Personally, for me, it's hard. It's definitely it's difficult. But I think that putting yourself in that uncomfortable situation is probably going to make you a better programmer and or just specialize a little bit more on that topic. So, and at the end of the day, I think we all want to succeed and we don't want to see a horrible presentation. So look at it from that way. We all want you to do good. So
yeah, awesome. Okay, well, I hope everyone has a good night. I'll let someone else speak now.
Thank you.